Hello, welcome back to MCFC Connect with another video. Haven't done one in a while, but today thought of something good to talk about, and so we're going to talk about it, aren't we? And you might be wondering, the thumbnail doesn't leave a lot to be told. The title probably helps a little bit, but today we're going to be talking about Man City's trend of loaning out players. Okay, now then, loaning out players I don't have an issue with for the most part. Loaning out academy players, giving them a bit of experience under the belt. That's what we've done with a lot of players. We do it now, we've done it before, and we'll do it in the future. It's just how we roll. Very few of our academy players go straight into the first team and succeed there. Phil Foden being a prime example of that, obviously. But some players do just go on loan for years on end and then leave. A good example of that is Liam Delap, who's now at Ipswich, obviously. I think that guy Doyle, I think he plays for Leicester at the moment. He's gone on loan and he's going to get a move in the summer. So there's multiple players over the years that you can look at. Now, some of them have gone straight moves, but look, it's beyond the point. This video today is about Man City loaning out more senior players. Now, for me, loaning out a player is telling the player to go play somewhere else and to prove that they can do it at our level. Okay, that is what it is for me. For academy players, a bit more than that, plus that. But for me, that is what a loan is. You're getting loaned out, you're being told to play elsewhere to show that you can do it at our level, not at our expense. Because if we try to play them, then and you do badly, suddenly we pay the consequences. But if a different team does it, we don't pay the consequences. It's fine. But for me, with senior players, it's a bit different, okay? And it's more than that, because it also doesn't help us much financially. I don't think it helps us at all financially. I'm going to start by looking at Joao Cancelo. Now then, this is a guy that has left. He officially left at the start of the season, but he first got loaned out at the end of January of 2023. Whole thing went down between him and Pep, I believe, and it just led to him not wanting to stay. Now then, that was a very last minute thing, so I didn't have a problem, okay? But what I would have done is, okay, if I was to see at the time, okay, don't really have an issue with this now, but if I was to see at the time, Bayern Munich had an option in that loan deal to pay 70 million to buy Joao Cancelo. A lot of money to buy a player like him, but hey, if he smashed it, then they maybe would have. So, they would have looked at that after their loan and probably deemed, nah, he's not worth 70 million. But for me, Bayern Munich, I doubt we're going to pay the 70 anyway. The moment Joao Cancelo had that falling out of Pep, I think it was over. I think the bridges were burned. Okay, I don't think he was going to play for Man City again properly. I know he featured in pre-season that one time, but I don't think he was ever going to feature properly ever again. And he didn't. So for me, I would have given Bayern Munich basically an offer they couldn't refuse at the time. Anyway, at the time, Joao Cancelo was seen as one of the best fullbacks in the world, doing what he does. Extremely good offensively, and not horrific defensively. That season, he had been pretty bad, but there'd been worse defensive right backs. But again, he was one of the best offensive fullbacks in the world. And anyone would have taken Joao Cancelo in their team just from his talent at the time. I would have given Bayern Munich a really good offer. I would have said 50 million. Okay, it's good enough saying that in hindsight, of course, but that's not my biggest issue. My biggest issue is the Barcelona one. We kept saying to Barca, we want a permanent, okay, but then we buckled, okay? We should have moved on from Barca. We should have been presenting Joao Cancelo everywhere we could. I refuse to believe that a Saudi team wouldn't have taken him last summer. I genuinely refuse to believe that. They were willing to pay a lot of money for Edison last summer, the Saudi League. They were willing to pay like 40 million for him. I think they easily would have coughed about 40 million for Joao, which is what he was roughly worth at the time anyway. Again, that's more money that we potentially missed out on. And instead, he got loaned out to Barca, where Barca ended up being like, nah, this guy's not it. We're not even going to bother trying to buy this guy. And instead, we ended up with 25. So, look, in an ideal world, a world that if we maybe just thought about it a little better, we could have ended up with maybe 50 million. All right, and if not 50, 40, we ended up with 25. Now, again, Joao Cancelo isn't the biggest offender on this, okay, but he is a good example of a top player getting loaned out. Now then, a player that isn't such a top player, Calvin Phillips, okay, didn't make it at City. He's just not cut out for it. Now then, obviously he joined. He had a lot of issues at City. Got called out for a weight problem at one point, and other bits and bobs. And it didn't work out all the way till January 2023, where he requested that it gets loaned out or sold. The feeling was relatively mutual. Now that he got loaned out to West Ham, again, I didn't really have an issue. Because for me, this was make or break with West Ham. And it was like, okay, if you can go to West Ham and do well now, then you're solid. Okay, maybe you could come back into the squad, maybe. But he went to West Ham, and to my knowledge, he was poor. Hence why his value dropped even more when he came back. Then he joins in. Remember, we could have still made. He's worth about 20 million in October of 2024. He's worth about 20 million. We probably could have made about 22 million for him in the summer. Okay. But instead, we went. I don't know why we loaned out Calvin Phillips. It was so clear that this guy's not our level. Like, unless someone can explain it to me, I genuinely don't understand why you would loan him out at this point. Okay, now that he's gotten relegated with Ipswich, you're just bringing his price tag down even more. I don't know why it's come to a case of loaning, because he's not going to make it at City. He's not. There's no world that he's going to make it at City. I'm convinced of it. Okay, I wish all the best for Calvin Phillips wherever he goes, but he's not making it here. Why do we persist on loaning out? Again, we could have made about 20. I don't think we won't. I don't think we'll sell 15. I don't think people are going to pay 15 million for a 29-year-old midfielder who hasn't played for Man City since 2023, and who failed to do it at West Ham and Ipswich. I don't think people pay 15 million for that. But again, we just need to get him gone. Like, did we not offer this guy about? Like, I know Ipswich eventually took him, okay, but I don't even think Ipswich tried to buy him. I think they just asked for the loan, and I think they got it. I can't remember on the specifics. But we as a club, we need to do better on that. Because, like, when a player is so clearly not going to make it at the club, or so clearly isn't good enough for the club, why loan them out? Okay, don't get me wrong. When they're an academy player, okay, maybe they got a high ceiling. Okay, maybe it can switch just like that. But Calvin Phillips, he's in his prime years. He's 29. Okay, this is meant to be his peak. All right, and he peaked a few years ago with Leeds. I don't understand it, to be honest. I really don't, and it's really frustrating. Because now we're going to hop on to Kyle Walker, okay? This season's loanee. Well, Calvin Phillips was this season too, to be fair. And again, hasn't played many of the minutes, okay? A lot of rumours that AC Milan ain't even willing to pay 5 million for this guy. We can't even make 5 million on him. Again, it was revealed about mid-January that City didn't want to keep this guy. That he revealed he was ready for a move elsewhere. we should have just sold him. You know, just sell him somewhere. Saudi, I reckon, would have taken him. You know, a different Serie A club. I bet you, there would have been a club out there that would have paid the $5 million buy option for Kyle Walker. Again, Kyle Walker's not the biggest offender of it because the fee isn't as big. Again, though, on Calvin Phillips, we probably could have sold him for about 20 if we actually looked to properly sell him. And Joao Cancelo, depending on when, you could have at highest probably got 50, unless you smashed it at buying, we would have got 70. But highest you would have got 50 if we played it a bit smarter. Like, imagine we did mandatory option to buy, but you've only got to pay 50. You know, no guarantee buying accepts that, but it's better than offering them 70 million. You know, for a player that hadn't been in the City squad a ton at the time as well. For me, Kyle Walker's someone that we should have probably moved on. But again, from a business perspective, it doesn't bother me much because it's 5 million. It's 5 million. Now then, this one would infuriate me because look, Jack Grealish, no matter what your opinion is on him as a City fan, look, me personally, definitely not good enough to be a first teamer. He's played 21% of our minutes this season. 18% of it has been the starting 11. You know, he's hardly played any minutes for us in the grand scheme of things. Me personally, I don't think he's good enough. You know, he had one high point in the treble season, okay, and if he continued going on that trajectory, he could have really been something. But he never quite hit those levels again. He's had a few injuries, which have brought him down and down and down. Jack Grealish got 2 years left on his deal, and we are currently rumoured to be loaning him out, which I just can't get behind. We loaned this guy out for a year, okay? Right, and he comes back into 2026. Suddenly, no matter how good of a season he had, wherever he was, he's got 1 year left on a deal. And you just don't know. Like, imagine he doesn't really do anything on that year. He drops down to 25 million. With 1 year left on his deal, clubs aren't going to pay 25 million, I don't think, for Grealish. Okay, for a player that maybe failed to do it wherever he went. Okay, hey, there's no guarantee that it fails, but you know he could very well smash it. But for me, don't take that risk. Just cash in now. You can probably make 40 million for Grealish if you play your cards right. At least 35 or at least 30. There's 30 million ready to be gone for Grealish. And if you look back at my transfer window streams, 30 million can pay for one of the players we want. Okay, it can pay for Ryan Cherky. It can pay for Joan Garcia. It can probably pay the bulk of the fee for Aït-Nouri. That's 3 players, okay, that would be basically be paid for if we sold Jack Grealish. I just think loaning out players is you're asking to lose money, I feel. You know, because he's clearly not good enough for City. Look at his stats this season. 3 goals, 5 assists, and 4 of those goal contributions came in the FA Cup against like Salford. And there was assist in the Carabao Cup came against Watford. You know, he got a goal against PSG, fair play. Premier League, I don't remember who he scored against. I think it was Leicester. And I have no idea who he got the assist against. But again, he's clearly not got it for City at this top level anymore. Okay, maybe he can drop down somewhere else. I think he can maybe do it in a mid-table side. Maybe he gets that freedom he once did at Villa. But for us, he clearly can't do it. And I just think you cash in now, you can basically pay for a player. You know, I don't think loaning out players helps. It doesn't help us. It helps the team that buys him. Well, that wants him. Because it means they can almost take him on a trial period, you know, and be like, oh, okay, this guy's clearly not got it. Okay. And then we move him on. And then they're like, oh, no, we don't like him. We don't want him here. Okay, now then, the flip to this is he could smash it wherever he goes. Now Grealish, but I don't see Grealish smashing it. To be honest, not like how he used to at Villa. He's a good ball. He's a good baller, Grealish, but I don't think he comes back and he's worth double. I don't. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe we go from 40 to 50. But honestly, if the last 3 loan moves have told you anything, the last 3 loan moves of your senior players, that is, it's told you that, in a weird way, old dogs can't learn new tricks. Now then, Cancelo's 28. It's not old. And Phillips is like 28, 29. So, to be fair, it's not old, but for a footballer, you're hitting your prime years. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And again, I don't think Jack Grealish is going to come back to City with any new tricks. So if you do a count up on how much money, at the maximum we've lost, Cancelo we sold to 25. I think you could have possibly gotten 50 for him. So that's 25 lost. Calvin Phillips, I don't think we're going to sell for more than 10. Okay, so that's another 10 loss. That's 35. Kyle Walker, if a team ain't willing to pay 5 for him, it could be even lower. But let's just say we get the 5 for Kyle, so we don't lose anything there. And Grealish, again, it really depends on how that loan move goes. But that's 35 million lost already. That is the equivalent to signing one of the players we want this summer. I know that money wouldn't have come into effect because of how it works, but you get what I'm saying. It just feels like, I'm trying to find the word for it. It's like a whirlpool, and I just think loaning out players is like chucking a player into that whirlpool, and they're just going to get sucked in, or chucking your money into the whirlpool, and your money's getting sucked in. You're losing your money. We don't gain anything, and the team that we loan them out to does. Okay, whilst if we sell, okay, they can maybe smash out their team, and we can be happy, player can be happy, and club can be happy. But if the club isn't happy, if he flops, we've gotten our 40 million. He's not our problem anymore. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely want wherever Grealish goes next, I want him to smash it because I like Jack Grealish. Okay, I want him to smash it. I want the best for every City player that leaves this club. But I also want the best for my club. And in a summer where we pulled out of the Wirtz deal because it was too expensive, at a time where we didn't play Kusanov for 10 games, because if he played 10 games, we would have had to have paid Lens 5 million. We seem to really be trying to scrounge up the pennies we have for City. It's more than pennies, of course, but you get what I'm saying. We're trying to hold on to as much as we can in what is probably going to be an expensive summer. So why not sell Grealish and help fund that, And there are probably more bodies that will go too. If Bernardo Silva ends up leaving, we're going to loan him too? Nah, we can't. It doesn't make sense. Not for me anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is pure yap. Maybe I ain't got a clue what I'm talking about. And maybe there is some genius to it. Okay, and if there is, please do let me know in the comments, and I'll definitely read the comments. But if you enjoyed this video, then there is more on the way. I intend to do another video this week. So big ups to you all, and I will see you all in the next one.